Hello everyone, Father John from St. Ignatius with you on this, the great feast of Pentecost. It's the end and climactic point of our whole Easter season. We began with the Last Supper. We followed Jesus through his passion, his death and his resurrection, and we've had 50 days of celebrating and reflecting in this whole Easter season. So now we come to the end and celebrate the gifting of the Spirit. Of course, the Spirit has been gifted in all the time since the beginning of creation, but in terms of the Jesus story, it is really significant. On another level, we are coming out of level 2 in the lockdown and returning to some form of normality, although we must recognise that things will never be quite the same. Our children are returning to school and hopefully they are settling in okay and happy to be back. For the rest of us, I hope that you are okay, looking forward to fuller life. For those of you who have issues to face, and particularly work issues, fewer hours or no job, or worried about the future, lots of encouragement. I think this gospel today has something for you. So let's turn to the readings and we'll begin with the gospel. It's one of my favourite readings and it is one of the great stories of the resurrection. It is sandwiched in between the first great appearance of Jesus to Mary Magdalene beforehand, and on the other hand, the appearance of Jesus to Thomas, the doubter, who is an important and essential part of Christian faith. So the disciples are there in a room locked up on the first day after the Sabbath. The doors are closed, they're frightened, but at least they have gathered together where before they abandoned Jesus and scattered him. Fear, guilt, wondering, lostness. Does it sound familiar in some ways? Maybe one of those things. Anyway, the story says Jesus came and he stands among them and he says, "Peace be with you." Now, the Hebrew word for peace is shalom, and it has a wonderful and history and meaning. It means effectively peace with your God, peace with those around you, and peace with yourself. To those disciples who hear these words from Jesus, they carry an immense meaning: forgiveness, acceptance, continued love, and new life, together with the wonder that Jesus is alive and risen. The story goes on. He breathes on them and says, "Receive the Holy Spirit." The Hebrew word for breath is ruach. It's translated in Latin as spiritus. And from this we get the term the Holy Spirit, the holy breath of God. It is Jesus now who breathes forth the Spirit on the disciples, and he gives them their old job back. As the Father has sent me, so I send you. It's forgiveness, it's reconciliation, it's mission, it's peace. Everything they believed in, the mission that they were committed to around Jesus, now the risen Jesus says, go for it. At the same time, he goes on and says, forgiveness is what I've given you. Whose sins you forgive, they are forgiven. Whose sins you retain, they are retained. The immense power of forgiveness, the immense power of non-forgiveness to hurt and to ruin lives. In this peace we have the essence of the Spirit, who is a accompanier, a healer, a consoler, and also words like things of wisdom. Let's turn then to the first reading, and this time we have the Spirit coming upon the disciples, many of them, with flames of fire. And then it says the whole of Jerusalem is touched. And there is a list of name places which start in the far north, reach out to the east, come down the parts of Israel and finish all the way past Egypt into Libya. Libya. It's the whole world in a sense, and the people there hear the disciples preaching. On the one hand, they preach in foreign languages, but the other miracle is that the people hear in their own languages. In other words, the Spirit has come not only on the disciples, but on all those who hear, enabling them to hear and opening them to the message. It is an illustration of the fact that the Spirit is not only with us, the Spirit goes before us, preparing life and offering life. This is the first outpouring of the Spirit, which then, in the Acts of the Apostles, we follow all the way. In the past of the Bible, there are people filled with the Spirit. They're the prophets, they're the leaders. As well as that, the Spirit is there at the very dawn of creation. And so today, as we come to this Feast of Pentecost, and we realize that Jesus continues to breathe the Spirit upon us in this time of lockdown, in hard times, and open to the future, we have a great sense of the love of God that doesn't abandon us. Forgiveness, hope, consolation, and meaning lying ahead of us. This is the gift of the Spirit. Have a look around you in our world. Where is the Spirit showing hope and life? Have a look around this area and your family. What are the signs of the Spirit there? Where they are and where you discern them is where the Spirit is calling you. When you go into that place, whatever it may be, that will be your Pentecost.